Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kazcast episode 27. Today on the podcast, I had a chat with Darius Knight. Now, for those of you that don't know Darius, he is a England representative of table tennis and played in the 2012 London Olympics. It was a real pleasure and very exciting for me to have Darius on the podcast. When I was younger, I really got into table tennis. I really loved it. I was inspired to play because of my dad. My dad used to play professionally and played for England. So I always had this natural inkling for racket sports. I've sort of grew up love, absolutely love playing table tennis and love playing tennis later on. So for me, growing up, I remember watching Darius play. Me and Darius are a similar age, so I always remember watching him play and remember watching him during the Olympics. So it was really exciting for me, and I was really grateful that Darius got back to me so quickly and said that he would come on, and he was happy to come on. So yeah, we had a great chat. We spoke about Darius. Um, Growing up in Battersea in London, and how he first got into table tennis, how obsessed and dedicated he was, and all the opportunities and amazing life experiences that getting into table tennis has given Darius, from traveling the world to competing in his homegrown Olympics. It was a real pleasure chatting with Darius. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I know you guys will enjoy listening to it. So please enjoy my podcast with Darius Knight.
There are no constraints on the human mind, no walls around the human spirit, no barriers to our progress except those we ourselves erect. Make your life a story worth telling.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kazcast episode 27. Today on the podcast, we welcome Darius Knight. Darius, thanks for coming on, mate. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me. No, pleasure. Thanks for thinking of me.
No worries, bud. The first question I wanted to ask you, Darius, was I understand you grew up in Battersea in London, and I wanted to know sort of how many opportunities you had to get involved in table tennis. Was it something you seeked out to do, or did it just was it on your doorstep? Was there a local club you got involved with? And yeah, how did that first come about for you?
It was kind of like on my doorstep. Obviously, when I was a kid, I used to go to a thing called Central Playground, and from then I used to go there after school, mess around with all your friends and kids, and like a safe environment, where you could do. There's like a tuck shop there where you could eat and buy like little biscuits for like a couple of pence. You could play on the operated systems. You could do football. You could do table tennis. You could do pool. You could do like little sewing stuff or sticking glue and like some kind of like not construction, but is it design and technology? There's all those small innocent things you could do as a kid, and it was like good fun. But I think table tennis, what it done in my youth club kind of thing was that you could play with the older boys. When I done like other things, the other boys, the older boys, always bigger, stronger, and more daring. And obviously, football is a big physical difference. If you're 7, you're playing against a 10, 11-year-old, that all go to the same kind of youth club. So it's always a bit difficult and just political as well. Nobody wants you on your team sometimes, and if I take this kind of thing, it's something that everybody actually just generally found funny. Everybody had their own superpowers. The tall, skinny guy, the lanky guy, the short guy, the guy that's a bit bigger. So like everybody had their own advantages, and I always felt that like everybody was just happy. There wasn't any kind of, what's the word? You didn't have to touch anybody, so there was never that kind of, oh, but you barged me and I'm going to get you back. So it was just really just peaceful, if that makes sense. But then obviously after the youth club, there was a thing called York Gardens Table Tennis Club, which was like, when I look at it, it's like across the road from my grand, so it took me about 4 minutes to walk there. So when I stay at my grand, I used to go. I lived quite a lot of my life at my grand's. And so it was just something that is like maybe from my school, 15-minute walk. for my mum's house, they were obviously mainly lived. It was like a bus ride and maybe 25 minutes on the bus, which in London that's nothing. It's like if you drove it, it'd be 5 minutes, you know. So stuff like that just made it always kind of like easy and fun. Obviously, it was like 50 pence to play for like 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So that was good because it's really cheap and easy, accessible. And obviously, like it was just something that, you know, when you're young, you always follow the older boys. In that community center where we played, there was like what else was there? There was like dancing that you could do. There was like a library. There was still pans. There's loads of things that you could just do. And my mum used to do dance upstairs. I looked to my to go with her and like dance with her, which I didn't like it. I thought this is for girls. And I always used to be looking downstairs, looking at the boys and kids and adults play tables in this.
Okay.
So obviously, when my attention more went to that, then obviously you just want to do what the other.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see many boys with me, so I just I wanted to generally do that, and I think because I wasn't very good at it. When you play football, you know, it's just like there's just loads of not issues but opinions, and then like athletics, just whatever you've done, there's always like some kind of argument.
Yeah.
I'm quite a peaceful person, although now like as I've grown up, I'm very competitive. You know, and like to not be right, but I know what I want. I know how to do it, how to get it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I've never looked at it from that point of view about you saying it's quite a peaceful sort of activity to do compared to other sports. And like that is, it's very different, that sport where, do you think you gravitated more towards like individual sports opposed to team sports? Do you think that's something that you personally enjoyed? It just being down to you?
Like,
no?
I think when I look at my personality, I like to give, I like to help,
Yeah.
I think I would have been better or maybe the very best if I was very selfish and an individual, but it's not really my personality. So like, it's always better to win with a team, anything you do, those memories will sit you in a room when you're 80 years old and I won this title with this guy in 1966, like the World Cup or all those kind of just amazing things that the whole nation talks about.
Yeah.
So, as if you're one man, you might talk about a title that you won, but then next year, you're on to the next one. Therefore, when you're a team, no matter who drops out the team 5 years down the line, you've got that connection with that person. Hey, do you remember those days when we done this? Not Islands, we done this.
Yeah.
Because there's no I in the team. Even if we lose 3-2, we still lost. I could win my 2 matches as a table tennis player, but we lost the doubles, and my other teammate lost his 2 matches.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to people. I don't know. I think godfathers from those situations, family, friends. They sit together, best mans. I think probably the biggest thing is football, isn't it? Where you win a World Cup together, or a league together, or Division 1, Division 2, or get a medal. I think you automatically just become brothers. Just a bit more. There's a connection with you. Like there's just a connection. More.
Yeah.
You're part of that history. Therefore, it's just a single thing.
For sure.
It's not as good.
There's great, and for kids getting involved in sport, there's great things about both. Like you said, there's that that brotherhood, that bonding. There's a lot of skills that you learn.
No matter what race or religion, I think Mo Salah, he's loved by white, black, all kinds of people, and I think he's probably like the most biggest maybe African Muslim star now in Liverpool. And now people would look at, I think, Egyptian people or whatever in a different manner. People might understand religions more now because he's fast, and there's all those things that I think sport has no boundaries. It's probably the only thing that doesn't have any boundaries. I think it's the most important thing in anyone's life is to play a bit of sport. I understand that it can't be bought; it has to be earned.
Definitely,
it has to be, no matter how rich you are, it has to be earned. You have to deliver. That's probably why you see a lot of poorer kids just doing it, because for them it's life or death. For maybe a slightly more wealthier child, it's what doesn't matter. I'm still going back home and sitting in my 4-bed mansion, and daddy's driving me to. Not that I'm being. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody. It's a different amount. You've got to get the bus to training, and you've got to get it late, and that hunger, that when it's that intense, when it's 9 or it just means so much more. It shows you that against the odds, which you probably don't think about it as a kid. That when I look back and think the odds that was against me, and we're going to a tournament, such an invitation, 4 kids in the back of a car, no seatbelt on, or someone sitting in each other's lap for an hour and a half, 2 hours, driving to Derby. That's the kind of craziness I went through, to get to a tournament and making it financially cheap, or not having any money, and my coach paying for the hotel with his own money. So I had to go practice every day to show my appreciation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
And so all those things, when I look back at it now, I think, damn, I can do anything because I've done that without knowing. Imagine
Yeah.
now doing something and you do know, and you've got a bit more. You know what you're capable of doing because of just the hard times that you've had.
Yeah, and ultimately that is the great thing about sport. It brings people together from all walks of life, breaks down all those barriers, and you can go on your complete own individual journey within sport, which is great. So, with table tennis, were you drawn to it when you first started playing? Then, not that it was an individual pursuit, but were you drawn to it because you found it very challenging, you found it difficult, or did you feel like you were a natural at the sport? Did you
Yeah, I
find
was
you
a
were
good at it.
talented?
Everything when I was a kid, I was good at. I beat everybody at everything. Football, running. I think go back to school. I just definitely got medals with me winning. Like local kind of like sports, 100 meters, long distance, whatever you name it. I was there. On it, competing. But I done it naturally without training. I think I just done it. The potatoes. That's the first thing I done. I was
Hmm.
like, oh my god, I'm rubbish. I'm not the man anymore. I'm not
Yeah,
first choice or first captain.
yeah, and there's
I didn't
something
like that
there's this
feeling, so
yeah
I
that
wanted to do something I could buy it, and
yeah, and there's something very humbling about that though, being a beginner at something again and going like there's something really valuable about the learning process of starting something new anyway. So how were you improving? I mean, and also how old were you when you first started playing? Were you quite late to table tennis compared to some other
maybe
kids that
eight, nine,
okay.
9 years old.
And
But
how
when I done
often,
it,
yeah, how often were you playing and
every day,
how did you improve?
every day, my coach made me a promise. Gideon Atchison said to me, train me every day for a year and a half. I make you play for England. You
Okay.
know, I said, pardon. I was like, okay, I've never left Battersea before, never traveled on a plane. I said, okay, you're on. But obviously, I believed them
Hmm.
because his kids. Uh, I believe them because his kids played for England.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Simple maths. Okay, I didn't like him or didn't like how he treated me because he's really strict.
When you look back and you look at your training regime, you said he was very strict with your training. How was your training broken up in terms of you learning all the fundamental skills of table tennis and how did that look for you, that training regime that you was on, especially going into your teenage years as you got more competitive and the level started going up?
Well, I think obviously I knew about commitment and hard work from the age of like 9, 10. So like I think when you've got that commitment, it just makes sense. Obviously, as you get older, you understand a bit more. But my coach Gideon at the time, he always explained to me why we're doing this, because often he wasn't there. We would train together with the other kids, so he was able to coach each other. Because Gideon said this, do it like this, not just, and we knew why we had to do it, if that makes sense. And we all just became table fanatics. Obviously, when I went to the England squad at the age of 12, it's another level of coaching where, like, it's like life or death. Yeah, if you're not performing well, you're out of the squad. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, you learn these survival things from a young age, and you would see like every 6 months, like this guy wasn't being invited back to the England camp, and you're thinking, oops, okay, he's gone on a tour, he's not getting good results. So it's
Yeah.
literally like it was just as brutal as that. It's like I don't know. When I look at it, I just thought, wow, like it's literally like maybe having a business. It's cutthroat. One day a company's gone, one day it's not here. Whether it's Thomas Cook or whatever, you just make a few wrong decisions and big ones. You're out, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go and play football and you break your leg, you're out for 6 months. That's 6 months of you at such a young age not being able to improve. You're gone.
Yeah.
Your confidence is low. So when I look at it like that, it literally was like doing that every day. But you just didn't. The difference is I didn't know that I was getting better. You only kind of knew you were getting better was from the wins that you got. That was a confirmation. Wow, I'm getting better. Then you see it. Then you start to win, and then your ranking goes higher, and not just England and Europe. You become number 2 in Europe at one stage. Under 13, under 15, and you're playing and seeing all these little signs. It just shows you like how good you were. And again, it had to be earned. So, I didn't really know I was good. It just the numbers start to change, kind of thing, I guess, or just like the results, or maybe then the attention starts changing from just the local media, the public. I think I went on Blue PR, like, oh, okay, I'm good,
Yeah.
and I think you don't just get that by having a nice profile. Sometimes you have a nice profile on the streets, in an interview, but when you're constantly delivering as well, I think it helps you, and not that that was important to me, but it was nice for a young, black man or black young boy to do something that's not so stereotypical as well.
Yeah. So when did you first get that opportunity, to play for England? You said your
I mean,
coach said you had that,
I was
what,
12.
12 years
12,
old?
12 years old, yeah.
Uh,
12 years old at the tournament to Italy. I remember it. I
Yeah.
remember, like, Didn't have a passport. I think got my mum had to rush and get the passports to drive all the way to Peterborough to get one. And you didn't know it was gonna happen. My cousin, it's gonna happen. You're playing, don't worry. No, but you don't know, it's because obviously sometimes, a coach promises you something, you can believe that for a certain amount of time, and then obviously after a year, you don't think, and you're like, is this guy's lying? But I think because he knew he was a good coach, he knew how good I was, but I didn't know, Of course, you're getting to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, but there wasn't no kind of clear criteria. If you're number one in England, number two, and number three in England, you will play for England. It was all kind of like hidden. Now there's a lot of sports where there's a clear criteria, there's a clear system, everybody knows. Back then, the sport wasn't so evolved or maybe developed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're just freestyling. You don't know.
Yeah, that's it. You're doing is just turning up every day and working as hard
just
as you
turn every
can.
day to the tournaments.
Yeah.
Trying to be perfect, like maybe what I call professional, not just trying to be professional, turning up. Not just that one day he's at tournament, one day he's not here, he's on holiday with the family, or he's hurt, he's playing a football tournament this week, and it was a straight table tennis every day, all day.
When you look back and you think about when you first started playing and every day, all day, just playing, do you find it amazing how many opportunities, and what sort of opportunities is like table tennis giving you in terms of traveling, going all over Europe and worldwide events? It must be quite surreal when you look back and think of all the places you've been to and what table tennis has brought to your life.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I just think that like, I'm the luckiest boy in the world. I've met some of the most successful people in the world through, well, everyone I meet is because I play table tennis, not because of the other stuff I do now. It's because I play table tennis. So I mean, like, no, I think I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it. The luckiest guy. I don't think anyone has done what I've done, come from where I've come from, achieved what I've achieved. Not that I need to sit and say I'm amazing. I don't really care. I just, because I feel like my story's not finished yet. I'm still quite young. I could still go back and play professionally now and train for England. I'll probably get back into the England team, maybe, depending if I'm fit and I've got the motivation to do it, if that makes sense. But I mean, I don't think there's another 12-year-old that travel like me. They started traveling at 16 every week to another country, competing, playing free of charge, making a bit of money. Not that was the motivation, but just when I look at what people die for today, going away for something for the weekend, taking a picture in France or Spain, or we're doing this, I was doing that for like, I don't know, 15 years ago, like,
Yeah.
that was my job. So I think, so that, like, when I look at it, like, I'm really lucky, like, for example, this week I'm going to France for a match. I may not play, I may play, but to go to France, as a kid I just thought, I'm going to Paris for the weekend, and what's the point?
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, oh my God, like, do you know how cool this is to go there, get paid, have a lovely meal there, be with some nice people that you've known for 15 years as well, 10 years from the sport,
Yeah.
and it's just what I do. I think it's a bit like, I don't know, Rio Ferdinand, he's not retired, but he loves being involved in football.
Yeah.
Some of those guys can't stand it, and they want to do something different. I do as well. But when I look at it, I think, wow, man, I'm not too cool for this sport. I'm not better than it. This is what has made me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really cool. So you, obviously, you said like, the money weren't the motivation, the love of the sport. Where did you get that draw? Obviously, you were turning up and you were working so hard every day. Where do you think that motivation came from?
The trophies, man. The trophies were just showing me that, like, that was my sign of, like, yeah, you're doing all right. The trophies.
Yeah.
Because coming finishing in the London tournament in the novice category, finishing 10th. I think I've got some of the certificates somewhere. I must do. If I did it, it's worth £1 million. I'm gonna stick that up on my wall, and get it framed. Finishing, like, it's a bit like, I think, like being a music artist, and you're doing a show and only 100 people are there, and then 10 years later on, you've got 50,000 people in one evening obsessed with you.
Yeah.
It's probably like that for me, as in what I've done. Like, wow, I go to any country and I pick up my bat, they know me or they heard of me or something. Of course, I'm not a musician. It's not like that. But I mean, it's so it's quite a good, for me. It's an amazing feeling, and only I can do that. Only I've done that, But I think it was the trophies that made me, I still, as an adult, when I compete and you get paid, I would happily take a 10-20% cut in pay and have a trophy.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you're not going to go and buy a trophy and go, "Wow, I won this." You know, that again, it has to be earned. That trophy, that money, as you get to an adult, it goes and roll out bills, and and to stay alive, that trophy is like, I think no matter how poor you were
Yeah.
or how much down you go in life from where you used to be, it's just like, wow, like I was something back in the day. I was quite good. A lot of times you have people say like, I could have been good, but I had to study or had to go and work. Therefore, like if I had that, if I said that, I still got my trophies to remind me of
Yeah.
how good I was, rather than somebody just have a memory. I've got memory and the actual kind of mantelpiece to show.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, for all that hard work that you've put in. One thing I wanted to ask you about with table tennis, and I sort of played a little bit when I was younger, and it's funny because I think the general public's view of table tennis is perhaps that it's quite an easy sort of an easy sport. Not a lot of fitness is required. If you compare it to tennis, and people don't really understand what's going on with the skill and the spin of the ball. Um, how and also it's very fine margins with table tennis with points, and it's very high pressured situations where a point or here can matter so much. When you was preparing for a game and when you was in a game, how would you get nervous? How did you deal with nerves? How did you
Always got
how
nervous.
did you approach games mentally to feel like you was mentally strong, prepared? And was there anything you would do during a game to help you stay relaxed whilst you were playing?
I think it's like more like just like breathing things to help you breathe a bit better. Because sometimes you are 2-2-9 or you are nervous, but then sometimes as you get better, you work with sometimes more psychologists. And my psychologist said to me, Darius, you train really hard. You don't train for everything to be easy. You train so when it is tough to tell yourself, look, dig deep now. This is when it gets fun. And, I think as I got better or older, I had to change the mentality. I tell yourself how good you are, how fit you are, how fast you are. How good you have to tell yourself how good you are. I think when you do the training, so that you can win those matches, rather than I just want to win. Everybody would pay loads of money to know God to tell them, am I going to win? Am I going to win this match in the fifth set? Do you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think that's the big thing about it. I think as I get older now, I'm like, I can't deal with this stress.
It's a lot of
I'm a bit of a
stress.
wuss
Yeah.
now. But in my best times, I live for that. Come on, let's fight. Because when you win, you're high for weeks, months, literally high for weeks and months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And is that one of the biggest challenges about an athlete? It's just in the end it is quite exhausting through them highs and lows and that high pressure, and just constantly being switched on all the time. It must be, it must be tiring. It must be exhausting being in them high pressure games all the time. But like you say, that's what you lived for and that's what you love doing.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's just the progress. When you see, it's like maybe as an when you have a child. I don't have children, but I've got a little brother. You see him just growing on it. It's just such a nice thing to see. And then obviously when he's at a certain age, he's not going to change, like going to change physically anymore or a language, but actually you can still get smarter and get better if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
do you know what I mean? And I think some people it's mental, some people it's their language.
Yeah.
It's all those kind of things. I think that you need when you're an adult. Maybe I'm 29 now. Maybe in 5 years' time, you might talk and go, "Wow, he's really matured again and changed," or
Yeah.
he's talking about evolution. I don't think you talk about evolution when you're 20 years old. You think about PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, your priorities change and responsibilities and your outlook on life is very different at 20, and then when you get to 30, it
Yeah.
changes again. So I wanted to ask you about also how much the sport has developed and when you look at like the bats and the speed and like the rubbers they're using on the bats now, but what about your fitness level requirements? How much fitter are the players now compared to like 10, 15, 20 years ago when
Nah,
you first started
I don't
playing?
think much fitter because
Has that
obviously back then
changed? How's that changed?
I think people are training smarter.
Okay,
We've got the
yeah,
science to train smarter, but I don't because like if I want to get better, I can just go and find out how to mile long or the best way to do this. Back then, you couldn't see a video of someone or what they were training. It was a secret. So again, I think the old school guys are a bit more geniuses. They didn't have everything was done just from maybe a feeling or a feel. Now you can mechanically make a play. Not that you can, but it's like
yeah,
no matter how fit you are, you still got to execute the shot. You
yeah,
have to execute that shot. So it doesn't matter. It matters at the very finest level, I think. and it does help at the low level as well. But if you get a young kid and he's really fit, if he can't put the ball on the table at 9-0, it doesn't matter about your fitness.
Yeah.
He's got the nerves, he's got the yips, so it doesn't matter, how fit you are.
Yeah.
But I think obviously at the higher level,
You
it
need
does.
everything. Yeah,
you
need everything.
You need to be, and obviously I think, for me, it's just really important to like find that right balance. Some sports, like I don't know. Tiger was probably I heard. I'm not sure. Like he was a golfer that went to the gym and took it serious. So then everyone's always raising the level. But I think now with the fitness side of things, it matters at the highest level. Of course it does. It matters at all levels to a bit, but you've still got to be able to, drugs. Some people are like, it's not just running in a straight line.
Yeah.
It's much more than that. So even if you took loads of drugs and you were fast, you've got to be able to serve right at the right time and keep the serve short. Execute this. So everything you're doing is life or death and table for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Tennis is very much more endurance. Yeah, longer rallies. Djokovic is the beast, whatever have you not. But the execution tennis is a lot more finer than tennis, I would say. I mean, I'm not getting into any argument.
Yeah.
It's just that there's just so much science and physics involved and maths that your brain works it out automatically. You can't go, oh yeah, this is 90 degrees. Let me play it like this or that.
Yeah.
You're just it's all probability.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Also, how are you breaking up your training in terms of how you're, improving in like your own individual shots from your serve to your backhand to your forehand, working on your returns? I mean, how is that structured? Is it more short and intense bursts? In terms of you rallying, do you have someone feeding just a ton of balls all the time? I mean, how do you physically train, and what's your style of training? How do you like to do it?
I mean, I think there's nothing better than like a hard physical session, But obviously, when I'm tired, sometimes if you're tired and you're trying to play matches, it's bad practice because you're going to be tired. You can't, but sometimes you're going to be in a match and you are going to be tired. So then, what do you do? So I think you've got to train for. As I've gotten older, you've got to train for how you play.
Yeah.
So if I'm really cool, like I don't say much, like Federer, I'm not like Federer.
Who just never sweats.
You've got to train like being cool, But if I'm a bit up and sometimes I get really frustrated. So when that happens, I've got to work on my breathe and stuff. I've got to work on a few things. But I think training, there's no right or wrong way. It's just what works for you. But generally, all the top players have a certain way. It's just you train hard, then you train smart. I think obviously the best guys in the world, you have to be smart. You have to deliver. So so I think it's always important to do that service and return. Because obviously, if you can't return a serve, forget it. No matter how good your backing is, you've got to be able to get that serve on the table.
Yeah,
you've got to service short at crucial points. So I learned that as I go older. Hang on a minute. If I'm serving, my serves go long when I'm tired. So why don't I do a run and then do my serves, or do some sprints and then do serves? If I do my serves at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm calm. I'm cool. I'm half asleep.
Yeah.
But if you do it at maybe in the afternoon where you are going to be tired, you have to work on your serves. And that's probably a bit more realistic way to work in it, to do it than when you play matches, because that's the feeling that you have, if you make sense. But, some players might think different. So I think it just depends on everyone's needs. But I know that as I've gotten older and smarter, that's the way I would train children or people or adults or just myself. This is how I think is the best way of training.
Yeah. Okay. So over the years and for a long time now, you watch like the World Championships and the Olympics, and very much the Chinese players are dominant. I know there's a young Japanese player now. I can't remember his name. That's right, Harimoto, and he's really, really exciting to watch. And he's like, fist pumps and shouting every 5 minutes, and he gets really, really animated when he plays. How has that gap changed? Has it grown or got smaller between, the European players and the Chinese players? Has that gap got smaller or bigger? And what is the standard like?
I think smaller. I think smaller because everybody now has the same access. Everybody knows now what it is to be good. Just be crazy. Tennis is full of lunatics.
Full of
You've
lunatics.
Got to just train. Follow
Yeah.
your gut. Follow your instinct. Every European country now has a Chinese coach because they there's a chance that if you go to another country and you make them good, you look like the amazing coaches. Or they want to prove themselves as well. Some of the Chinese coaches don't want to leave. So the gap is when I was 15. it was like you were told that you can't beat the adults. As the bats, balls, and tennis have all changed, where you don't need so much physical, well, you need power still. Like have a 15-year-old beating guys that are like 20 years older than them. That's scary.
Yeah, I
I
know.
say to the kids, like, guys, like, get on with it. Because when I was young, it was, I need 5 more years to get to this level. No, you can do it now. So, which I think is just sensational.
Yeah.
I'm sure the guy's he's just started going for puberty. He doesn't even have any hairs on him yet.
He's incredible. And what is it about him that's made him so good at such a young age? Is he got
fearless? He's fearless, isn't he?
He's just completely fearless.
Yeah. He doesn't care. He just wants to beat you, and like he's got great tennis, he's got great anticipation. And I think for him, not that he can go down, but he's a target. So for him to stay at that level, it's even more harder.
Yeah,
it's even more harder, and but I mean he'll develop and grow. I just hope he doesn't burn out. The guy's not even done his GCSEs yet, or what the equivalent is in Japan,
It's mad. It's absolutely crazy.
He's potentially probably the greatest sportsman ever because, you don't have a 15-year-old playing in a World Cup final or quarterfinals. It's just not possible in football. But that will happen sooner and more and more and more as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say.
I think he's got to be the greatest athlete right now in the world.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that wouldn't even know who he is unless you follow table tennis. What do you think the overall popularity of table tennis? Do you think it's on the rise? More and more people are watching it?
I think because social media and all these crazy rights, people can see it. But I think there's two kind of. Everybody plays it. Everybody knows about it. How much people go and watch it and pay £10 to watch table tennis? I think that's where our sport is really behind.
Yeah.
The sport hasn't evolved like the other sports in the world. Like your basketball league, and your basketball's big in America, but it's getting bigger in the UK. I think it needs someone that everyone likes it, but no one has managed to crack it yet. And I think it just needs one of those big time legends that have an interest in it. It's like their little hobby, and they want to take it to everyone to be like not like a superstar, but to show what we really do. Whether it's a documentary made on us on the BBC, or someone that's really getting behind the scenes of this crazy sport that has loads of health benefits, dementia, Alzheimer's, how it helps prevent that or slow that process down. Keeps you fit, you can play this with your mum, your gran, your brother, your sister, and it be okay. So I mean, I think it's just highly underrated, but I think the right people to get behind it and make it popular, and the sport will be there. It's the second biggest, most participated sport in the world. In terms of ranking of most popular sports and on TV, so that it's probably not even top 20. It's not top 20 in all sports.
Yeah, it's like you say, everyone loves table tennis, and it's so funny, but it's just that elite high level. It's just not given enough. It's not given enough respect. It's not given enough footage. Like just mainstream BBC. You just don't. It's not in the media that much. But with social media and all the access, I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be on the rise, and more people will start getting involved. It's the clubs as well. There needs to be more local clubs popping up, but it's a great sport.
To football. I think as a dream, I would love to play for. I'm from London. I'd love to play for Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah.
Table tennis team. The football clubs have enough money to do that, to have a table tennis. Why? I think the sport to really get a big break in something like that. Chelsea owns a team.
Yeah.
And they put 200k in. It's nothing. It's one player's wage for the week. You play for 4 or 5 players to go and build the Chelsea brand in another way, or you play in football kits and dual, football. I think that's the way I see it going. He wants to get in the right place. Have your name on the back of the shirt, your number.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Football has that kind of your number 9. If you want number 9 or number 1, what I mean. There's clever marketing things that need to be associated with the sport. I don't know, number 7.
Yeah.
On the back of your shirt, like you're the main player in the team. That's what it means. I don't know.
There feels like there's a lot of ways it could go. There's a lot of there's a lot more that could be done, but that's a good thing. The fact that there is more that can be done means it can only get better.
It's a good thing, but I don't think it's going to help me in my lifetime.
Yeah.
It might be a bit too late.
No, it's good. It might take a little bit more time.
But I'm happy to be a part of the process, because it's something that's given me a beautiful life, whether how much ups and downs I've had.
For sure, mate.
And you've made me who I am.
You've done a hell of a lot for the sport. So 2012 Olympic Games, that must have been an incredible experience. because it being London, your home games. What was that experience like? Getting picked for Team GB, and yeah, just could you sum up just the whole experience of that summer?
Yeah, man, I was proud to be British then. I think what happened is that you didn't have any negativity. Everybody, all the negative press before, everybody just got involved with it. They helped. Obviously, you got your teammates. Obviously, I had a big campaign with Coca-Cola as well, so that helped with my name all over the streets of London. Obviously, because I was from London. It was a bit too early in terms of my athlete career, I guess. But Darius Knight, can't change when the Olympics is coming to where it's going. And I think it's quite important for the country of obviously Britain for that to happen. And show that sports is important, and not just your main sports like football and rugby or cricket. There's other sports, and I think a lot of athletes have made a name for themselves. They've done really well and had great lives after the Olympic Games, which probably would never have happened beforehand. So I think it hasn't done any bad to anybody. Of course, some people that didn't get there have been upset and heartbroken. But I'm guessing if you're an athlete, you know the business, you know what it's like. It would have then shaped you to do the next thing that you're doing, whether it's to go back and study and finish your studies, all those kind of things. So
Yeah,
I think it was great. The Queen was involved, David Beckham was involved. All these iconic, legendary people, was involved in the show.
yeah, for sure. It was such a memorable summer, and yeah, one that a lot of us won't forget. It was incredible.
And
Um,
there was no rain. It was like it was
yeah,
beautiful, man.
it was quality. It was a great time. Um, awesome, mate. So before you go, I jumped on your website, dariusknight.com, and looked at some of the great things you're doing. I know you're doing a lot of coaching in schools, and could you sort of sum up what you're doing at the moment, and what you're building at the moment, and yeah, like what's most of your time taken up with at the moment?
Of course, coaching. Obviously, when I stopped playing a little bit and wanted to find out what I wanted to do, coaching was the safest thing that I could do. So obviously, I'm from London. I'm from Battersea. It's now Battersea is quite a wealthy area. I'm very close to Chelsea. Central London. I started coaching in schools locally. Started to build up. I've got a few employees that work for me. I started to build up something that I wanted to be lasting. I wanted not to be able to ask people for money and hope for sponsors. I was tired of being sponsored, being used. We were sponsored for a couple of years, and then after that, we wanted to be gone, or the company's plan has changed. So I wanted to just be like more of a self-made, independent person, and just not have to ask anybody for money or have a business where people are choosing to pay rather than, oh, can you sponsor me? Can you? I thought I was getting a bit too old, to do that. And coming back to live in London, and realize if I'm never going to afford to buy a house, I need to learn to be a man, and do more because I wasn't happy where the sport was going at the time. And I look back at this and I think it's great. So I've got that. I've started to put my own little brand called obviously Darius Knight. So I've been through like three little stages of it. And the first logo, and the second now I want to my third and final logo, which I think is perfect. But I would say that because it's my name, my brand. And now I've got my sports equipment because obviously I can't be in 100 schools at once. I can't, I wanted something that actually I could make money while I was sleeping. So obviously, you start off at home by getting bats, making them, selling them. If that makes sense. So
Yeah,
I've got my bats to Sports Direct. It's in Argos. It's on Amazon. Anybody can get an Amazon though. So I think I've done quite well to get in those kind of high level channels. And it's just been a slow process of first I had a bat, and I've got three bats now. Now I've got nets. I've got different types of nets. I've got balls. So I just want to be the bit like your new butterfly going forward. But I think I'm from London, established in London, made in London, from me, and I think it's got that magic, and it's a real story. It's not often maybe you hear a brand with like a real story from the owner. Not that I'm ever going to be like a Nike or Adidas, but my name is my name, and I think it's doing okay. It could be doing better, of course, but I'm happy with just the progress I've made. It's not a business to say I've got a business and look at me. It's just a business that actually it does generate some money. I'm able to reinvest in it and go bigger, go stronger. Some of the parents that I've met over the years from the schools have liked to see my progress as a young man or as an adult, and people just wanted to invest and be part of maybe a organic journey. So from having the coaching, I've got the equipment, I've got my own school league, I do my own tournaments for the kids. It's all local, from the area, so I just want to keep building that. I then have a logistics company with Amazon, so I've got 30 drivers that work for me every day with Amazon. So
yeah,
pardon?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, carry on.
So yeah, so I've got like a little logistics company, one a little big, takes up a lot of time. Not the most enjoyable thing I do, but I mean the coaching and the equipment is definitely like my biggest passion. Something that like I want to pursue and make it a real big successful company and name. Not for me to go, I'm Darius, but just people just go. I love the branding, I love the quality of stuff, I love the bats. You know, it's a real story on from the bats and the reason why and the names, you know, everything. But yeah, so I've got those two things happening. So tapes and this coaching, tapes equipment, and logistics.
Yeah,
So I mean,
awesome, mate.
this is quite a big thing, and takes up a lot of time. I've got like an operation manager, a manager,
Yeah,
40, 50 drivers.
that's awesome,
So
mate.
yeah.
Well, you've given people a lot of jobs, and you must be a busy man. Your phone must be going off left, right, and centre.
Oh, my phone's horrible. My phone's horrible. I need to change my number because the drivers, obviously, when you
Yeah,
start something super organic, you know, they all want to
yeah,
call you. But I said, guys, look, call the manager, don't call me. Just call me at the very last solution. But I mean,
yeah.
I think to build anything, it just takes time, and you've got to just build it up.
Awesome, Darius. Sounds really good, mate. Some great stuff there. So at the end of the podcast, mate, I always ask these three questions to each guest. And those are sort of like the areas of inspiration. So I always ask the guest about a book that they've read, a film or documentary that they would recommend that people check out, and then a person that has inspired them at some point. So do you have a book that you've read that you'd recommend?
Yeah, there's two books probably. One's called Everything Store. So since the Everything Store by
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos and the Age of Amazon.
Okay.
It's by Brad Stone, so it's quite good, and it's more about the mentality of Jeff Bezos, how he's built the biggest company in the world, and just the mentality of him.
Yeah.
And he's so daring, so just open, just like let's just go, And it's a bit like, I'm not saying I'm like Jeff Bezos, but it's like let's just go, man. Let's just do it. Let's just find out how we do it. And obviously, it makes sense, and I think from a young age, I've always made not the best decisions, but decisions that have led me to keep going forward in life, and so I feel like my decision makings are not always the best, but they always somehow lead me into the right place, as long as I'm not being too stupid.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds good.
So that, and then probably the other book is probably the main one for anyone I think that will help them, or any parents or kid or adult, is the book by Matthew Syed called Bounce.
Yep.
It's quite like a big hit in all the schools, and I was in the book, so it's quite honourable and quite lucky to be in the book. But I think it's a great book to read, to say that talent isn't given. It's hard. It's work. The harder you work at it, the better you get. The more it looks easy. Messi wasn't born with. Maybe some people are a bit better than others, but he's still Messi. They still worked hard. They still are the hardest working players in the world compared to the others. And I think that when you're hard working and you're smart, not everybody has those attributes. Some people are talented, but they're just lazy. Some people are hard working, but not so talented. And I think it all levels out a little bit. Now, obviously, some is about the opportunity. A lot of these opportunities do come by luck. Just grabbing it with both hands,
Yeah.
And a lot of those things have happened with me with just loads of people that I've met in life and business, and just opportunities. Sometimes it's from an unfortunate thing, sometimes from a fortunate thing as well. So there's that. So that's probably my two books. Probably number one book would be obviously Bounce by Matthew Syed.
Awesome, mate. Really good. Two really good recommendations. And that's why I always ask, because each episode, everyone has said a different book. So yeah, and that's two new books there that people could check out. So what about a movie or a documentary, something that people can watch?
Um, I don't really watch much movies. I don't have like an all-time favorite, but I watch a lot of anime. Anime is like my big thing.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with anime. So
Yeah.
that just I think if every kid watches, because there's always a beginning, middle, and end for me. So the one I've been crazy about for 10 years is something called Naruto.
Okay.
And
Right.
I just watch it. I want my brother to watch it when he's old enough. He's 9 now, so when he gets to 12, I want him to watch it, because I think it just shows you decisions in life. We're all better together. I think that's the message I get from it, is that
Yeah.
we're better together. And everybody's got their own ability and special power. But I mean, I feel like that's the same thing in humans and company. There's no I. It's always about us. And, some people have to sacrifice to do this. I believe Amazon, a lot of people make sacrifices to get Jeff Bezos to where he is, and sometimes they're not part of the story now, but it's still that kind of organic story. And I think it's just like in life, and not everybody you start with, you finish with. And that's what that anime basically tells you, that through hard work, being together, we're a village, we're a tribe, we must do what's right for even for families. Like you respect the eldest person in the family because he's maybe created everybody's opportunities. So no matter what, you listen to dad, or you listen to grandma because she's helped everybody and went through the difficult times. So that's what I get out of that anime. So
Okay.
I wouldn't get it. I mean, it's like 600 episodes of 20 minutes. So I don't think
People got to put the
everyone
time in. Yeah.
would watch it. Yeah, but in terms of a film, I don't know. I don't have the focus to watch a film. I don't have it.
No,
20
you
minutes. My
sound like you
mind,
got too much energy. You're just here, there, and everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
My mind only lasts about 20 minutes. I think I work for 20 minutes is like that's it. I can sit down there,
Yeah.
be peaceful. And then after that, yeah. So that's a film. If I spit on top of my head right now, The Equalizer's in my brain. The
Yeah.
Equalizer.
Okay. Yeah,
By
yeah.
Denzel Washington. But I wouldn't say it's like cinematic the best film ever. But it's just he's a good person. Look after the world. So something like that.
Yeah.
Just, kill all the bad guys. But, I mean, yeah, it's just not like my best film, but it's just one that is just in my head now.
Awesome, mate. That's cool. And what about a person to finish off? Someone who's inspired you at some point?
In my life,
Yeah.
probably right now, probably a guy called Charles Saatchi. And he's been a big inspiration in my life. He's a good guy, and the more I read about him and find about him, he's done a lot for the world, in terms of marketing, art, whatever you want to name it. He's a real top guy.
Awesome, mate. Love that. And that's it, mate. Mate, I so appreciate you coming on because by the sounds of obviously this podcast, I know you're really, really busy and your phone's, you've probably got about 100 text messages since we've been chatting. But I appreciate it, mate.
Right.
I really appreciate your time. And yeah, just good luck with everything that you're doing in the future.
No, pleasure. Just let me know anything if you ever need to get any other ping pong player or athlete. Let me know, and I'll try and help.
Thank you, mate.
I like them to do it. They always want to, try and get themselves out there. So happily, just let me know anyone you want to try and talk to in terms of athletes. Or if you can let me know on Twitter, I can see who I follow. If you
Yeah, that's great.
Anything or Instagram, just let me know.
Appreciate it, Darius. Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Cool, guys. Hope you enjoyed that episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.